Hello everyone, I'm Anima Master. Welcome back to another Sonic 1 hacking tutorial. Now, some of you will be glad to know now that I will be attempting to explain how music works. SMPS, sample, hang on, I've got my notes here. Sample music playback system. How it works, how can we edit it, how we can port it, and possibly make our own music as well. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one because this is not my strong point, but I do love seeing the results of music because I am a very big music fan. I do like listening to music, and I do like listening to good Genesis music, the twang, Genesis twang as some people call it. Yeah, let's get straight into it. Well, before I do that, I'm going to be quoting some things from two places. I'm being quoting from one guide here, which is the music hacking guide on Sonic Retro. I will put a link here. I'd recommend it, but I'd also recommend a tutorial on the Sonic Stuff Research group, SSRG, by the user, I hope he doesn't mind me crediting him, I'm sure he doesn't, but the user Mikey Jester. Some people know him. I might have mentioned him before in like the level editing or level layout tutorial. He decided to do a guide because, well, the music hacking guide on Retro, as you can see here, can be confusing. It was confusing for a very long time for me. I kept going back to it, and hardly any of it was sinking in. I just felt like maybe there was a better way of explaining it. And he did actually help me at one point. Mike just actually was like, I was like, I need to understand a bit more on this and this and this, and he was explaining some stuff that I already knew, which he was quite surprised about. But then, he helped me understand. He helped broke things down for me. Now, he's actually done a tutorial very similar to what he was pretty much teaching to me, some years back, and it's public. I don't think you need to be a part of SSRG. I don't think you need to sign in. So I'll put a link. I'd recommend actually looking at it and possibly reading it before this tutorial. I'm only going to do basic stuff. I would explain things, but I'm not going to go into greater detail because we've got two guides. We've got the music hacking one here, and the one that Mikey just done. That's public, and I'd really recommend the one, at least, if I had to say one guide, you need to read this guide that Mikey just did, because he explains it so well. He is a good teacher. He breaks things down in a way that makes it really easy to understand. At least I think so anyway. I understand his explanations really well. So I'd recommend having a read. What he does, to summarize what he does, is he pretty much explains to you how it works. He shows you like how to actually sort of begin making your own song, like making edits, playing drum samples, things like that. Give it a read. He explains, he breaks things down in a nice easy way on how to edit things, modify things. He does do it in an actual ROM, but he does explain how you can port it over to your disassembly. I'll also be doing that at some point. For now, I'm going to be doing a disassembly because it's easier and whatnot. But for games like, because like Sonic 2, Sonic 3 has like disassemblies now, where you can probably easily get the files. I'd also recommend doing that if you haven't got Sonic 2 disassembly or Sonic 3K. Download them. I'll put a link in for easy access for files and whatnot. I mean, you still got to convert them, but at least then you don't have to go into the Sonic 3K file and rip them yourself. But for games like maybe Roystar, Knuckles Chaotix, I will be explaining how you can rip songs from those games and then port them over, convert them, etc., and just sort of explain briefly how that works and whatnot. Yeah, like I say, give it a read. At least if you're going to choose one, choose the Mark Jester one. I recommend doing it before me, but if not, it's up to you. But yeah, read that, and then come back to me really. Okay, so let's get started anyway. I think this introduction has been too long. I'm going to try to explain this the best way I can. So, anyway, other than everything I've said, the first official thing we need is a Hex Editor. Now, I'm just going to go into my Sonic 1 Fresh, as you know, and I'm going to go to Sound, and I'm going to go to Green Hill Zone. Yes, we're going to edit Green Hill Zone. I mean, I can edit any file, but I'm just going to choose Green Hill Zone just because Green Hill Zone. You know. Anyway, so the file, the Hex Editor I'm using is XVI32. Now, I found it a while back, and I don't know if I can find any more. I'm going to try and see if I can and give you guys a link. If not, there are other Hex editors out there. You know, there might even be better ones. I mean, I'm so used to using this one, and I think it is really good. So if you can get it, I would recommend using it, and it'll be easier to follow me. But you know, don't feel bad. You know, if you can't find this one, don't feel like that you're going to be stuck, because most editors are pretty much the same. You know, they're all a bunch of numbers, zeros and FS and whatnot. You know, and you should be able to follow me regardless. So you know, hopefully if I can get the link, you know, that's what we'll do. So anyway, we've opened up, I assume you've got the Hex Editor, we've opened up Music 81, which is the first song in the list, which is obviously Green Hill Zone. Now, you're probably looking at this and you're like, all this jumbled up stuff is like, what is this? You know, yeah, this is very confusing. So I'm going to try and break it down, like Mike Jester. I'm going to try and break it down for you guys and try to explain things. So, right, so as I mentioned before, SMPS means Sample Music Playback System, which is, you know, obviously what it plays to play the Mega Drive / Genesis music. Now, the first thing we see upon entering is the first byte. So 2 little bits, you know, first byte, first 2 bytes, which is a word. 4 bytes is a long word. So keep an eye on that, because I may be using abbreviations like, you know, we're going to edit this word, which would be 4 bytes, or I'm going to edit this long word, which is whatnot. As you see here, we've got 2 numbers. We've got 06, 87. Now, the first 2 numbers here, bytes 01 and 02, this is called a header. Now, a header is basically like the location of the start of the song, where you know, where things start and begin and whatnot. So say for example 0687 is where the song starts, so we'll get an address, and then, you know, always go to hexadecimal absolute, so it goes straight to the location. And we go 6. I mean, you can put 06, but it will just cancel that anyway, because it doesn't include the 0. So 687 absolute, okay, and that's like where the song begins. It's not where the voices are. That's, you know, not, you know, this is where it's playing everything. You know, to try and make it simpler. So anyway, and as you see, that's the end of the song. 80 is a rest, which is normally, it's fairly common. It's a rest. It kind of just like, it's almost like the stop function, which is F2. And just kind of like rests the note sort of thing. Some people that are music people might even know about rests. You know, you get like rests like when you play a piano, or like saxophone. Like I've got a saxophone, you have rests on saxophone and whatnot. So anyway, so yeah, this is our header, and this is normally the start of the location. If it was in a hex editor, like say, for example, if I were to go to Sonic 1 here, then, you know, it would probably be like, I don't know, 8,687 whatnot. I know it isn't that, but I'm just saying. And then you go to that location. Okay, but because we're editing it in the splits assembly, it's already out, so it's you know, 0687. So we just put 687, and then off we go. So yeah, that's our pointer. So we're not going to do anything with that. We're going to leave it. That's how it is. Now this is our channel setup. Now you're probably thinking, what's the channel setup? Now these are essentially, the channels are part of the voices that get played. So, you know, you have an FM channel, which is a frequency modulation. Yeah, we're pulling out all the I can't even get my words out. We're pulling out all the complicated words today, folks. But yeah, frequency modulation. And these normally plays our voices. So you know, it will go to a location to where said voices are. And you've also got PSG, which is programmable sound generator, which you normally use for things like the jump sounds. You can also use it for like hi-hat sounds, like noise sounds. Like you might hear like little scuffering sounds in some like Sonic 1 songs, like a little scuffer. I guess that's how I can really explain it, really. And you can use that, like, say for example, Sonic 1 has limited drums, so if you don't have any hi-hats, you can actually use PSG to create like its own sort of noise hi-hats. So that's kind of nice. And the normal format, because there is 9 channels technically altogether. So you got 06, 03. And that's the normal format. Like, that's the most common format you'll see. Like, at least in Sonic 1 anyway, you'll see 06 and 03. That's fairly popular. So you have, normally it's 5 FM channels, 1 DAC, which is your drums channel, and 3 PSG sounds. Now, there is a 6th one. I don't use it. Normally most people don't use it. It just means that if you use 6 FM channels, you sacrifice DAC, but it has other functions. Again, I'd recommend looking at Marky's tutorial. He explains on things like that more. But yeah, for now we're going to be sticking with what it is. All these songs stick to 5 channels, 1 drum, and 3 PSGs. As I mentioned before, with PSGs, you could have like one noise channel, which is normally PSG 3, and the other two sounds, like I say, like sounds like you have like for the jump noise and whatnot, but you can have in the song. So anyway, so yeah, that's our format, SO603. So we'll leave that. It's got, it's already set up its 5 channels and whatnot. Now next is our tempo. Now the tempo is the speed, as some of you music people might know. And another common format is 0103. It just seems to be like a nice pace of speed. I'd also recommend not altering too much of this. Really just depends. How to explain this? This second byte is, the main tempo speed. If you increase this, so if I put it to say 04 or 05, just type in the keyboard, then it goes faster. If I decrease it, so I'll put it back to 03, and then it goes slower. Now the first byte is a little bit more tricky. This is the divider, the tempo divider. Normally, like I say, they tend to have big jumps. So like 0103 tends to be like fairly standard, or 01 I should say tend to be standard. 02 is considerably slower. So normally you just want to edit the second byte for fast and slow. But you can edit, you can put it like to 02, 03, and then that'll be like really slow. But I wouldn't recommend going past that, because I'm not sure why. But there are problems that you can get, like the song might not even play if you go above that, so just be wary of that, and stick with 0103 for most of your songs, unless you know what you're doing. I would just stick to the standard 0103, which is it's just a good pace, I would say. Now the next is the drums location. So we're going to go there, we're going to go to address, and we're going to go to 0646, or plus I don't even need to put the 06, and there we go, we've got our drums locations. Now if you want to know the location, if you want to know like what drums that Sonic 1 has, again you can look at their music hacking. You can go to DSC samples. I think it's the DSC samples. We can scroll down. Where are we? Is it this one? Might not be this one, it might be the next one. Let me see. But yeah, you can do this, or you can actually mark Jess's tutorial. Again, I can't quote it enough because it's really good. You can look on there, and he's got definitions for each of the drum sounds that are played, so you can like see what you need to do and whatnot. Was I just on this? Maybe I was. I don't know, but it's on here somewhere. He says. Please believe me. It is on here, but yeah. Sonic 1 has like, you know, not as many samples as say Sonic 2 or Sonic 3K. Yeah, here we go. And we've got samples here. So you know, you have to kind of, unless you want to port drums over, which I don't really know how to do. I haven't really gone into that sort of thing, or you change your driver, like maybe you put like Sonic 3K driver over, which is what some people do. You know, so you can have more drum samples, different drum samples. Then you are limited, so you have to kind of, when you port something over, like a completely different game, like I ported a Shinobi Freeport song. I had to compensate and just, you know, put my equivalent drums to whatnot. You know, if you know like one's a kick and one's a snare, but you know in this game a kick and a snare is different, you just try and match Sonic 1's kick and snare equivalent. But we'll get into that. I won't be editing yet, but we'll be getting into that. But I just wanted to explain it a little bit. But yeah, this is the location of the drums. So you know, this is the pointer for where that goes. Okay, let's move on to these 2 bytes. Now this is the pointer of the first FM channel. So yeah, we can just put in 30 and it goes straight to our voice that is played. Our voice that is playing, it's got the different notes and whatnot. It goes to our note playing. We go back here, and then the next thing is its tone and its volume. The first byte here is our tone. Currently it's at F4. If you want it deeper, we can lower it. Same with this. If you want it quieter or louder, decrease it, I believe. Yeah, you decrease it to make the certain FM channel voice louder, and you increase it to make it quieter. So yeah, and again the next one. Normally when it comes to FM channels, it's always 2 bytes of location, and then the tone and the volume, and then it's the next one is the FM channel 2 for the volume, 2 for 1 for the tone, and then it does it, and then until you get to where is it? Until you get to I think it's here, which is the PSG, where it has its location. And then it has its tone and volume, and then it has something else. I'm not 100% sure what this is. It is like, it does explain it sort of thing. I don't really tend to alter it, but you know, that's why I'm not really going to mention it. I might touch up on it at some point, but it has a little bit extra, you know, towards it, rather than the FMs just go from one to another sort of thing. But yeah. That is pretty much it. That is your setup. That is your setup for going to the song, playing everything, playing your drums, you know, the tones and everything and whatnot. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to do something very simple first off, and we're just going to alter the tone. You know, we want to see if we can alter things. You know, experiment. You know, I'm always experiment doing different things. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to edit the tones. I'm not going to change the volume or anything. The best way to alter tones is to decrease it by 12 decimals rather than decrease it by 12 or increase it by 12. So if we want to make things deeper, we decrease it by 12. If we want to increase it, make it higher, we increase it by 12. Now, how the number format works, because it's kind of important. Probably should have maybe mentioned this at the beginning, but numbers tend to go from 0 to F. Now, how you would do is you would count up from 0 to 9, but you don't go to 10. So you go from 0 to 9, and then it goes A to F, which is 12 bytes, which is 12 decimals. So basically, if I have a number which says 00, it can go all the way up to FF. Of course, we don't know what that does for, you know, it does different things depending on where we're using it and what form, whatnot. But it can go all the way up to them. So when counting, I mean, you can use a hex calculator. There is hex calculators you can get online and whatnot, if you'd like one. But I'm so used to the format now that I count it in my head or on my fingers. So how I do it is I'd be like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C. But what I'd actually do is I'd be doing that by counting on my fingers, and then like when I get to C, I'd look at my finger and I'd be like, okay, C is 12, because it's, you know, I've counted 12 times with my fingers, so I know I'm going up 12 or going down 12. So for example, here we want to make these sounds deeper. So what we do is, I remember here, this is the FM channel location, the pointer. This is the tone and this is the volume. So we leave the volume and this is the tone. So we want to decrease this by 12 OC bytes. 12/OC bytes. So what I do is I go on my fingers and I go F4. No, not F4, sorry, F3. So we count down F2, F1, FO, EF, EE, ED, C, B, A, 9, 8. Now I've got 12 now, and it comes up E8. So what we do is we type E8, and that goes down by 12 decimals. Now, I'm trying to think. It's a thing that you have to kind of learn. Like, this is the sort of thing I sort of picked up. I might like put like a little note or something on the screen, or I might put a little note or something. But yeah, you wanna get used to counting things down when using a hex editor. Some people use like ASM assembly, like in Notepad, like we do programming for music. I've never done it, so I have no idea how that works. So I will be doing it in hex editing, which can be a bit boring. I do apologize. You know, I'd rather do it this way than use use it like a tool, because they're like some tools, but some of them, well, most of them are like pretty much they don't really you know, they're there to just fix things or port things over, but they don't explain anything, you know, and I'm here to try and explain how things work so you can do it yourself. Believe me, it's a lot more rewarding to, you know, modify something and get something perfect than get a tool to just sloppily put a port in of, say, Emerald Hill Zone or something, or Chemical Plant, I don't know, and it just comes out all shoddy, and you're like, how do I fix it? The tutorial doesn't tell you. You know, the tool doesn't tell you. That was supposed to fix it, but it didn't. You know, things like that. So I want to be able to say, look, here, this is how you modify things, this is how you do this is how you edit this, you know, and then you can, you know, port things over, fix things, and make your own music properly, you know. Yeah, so anyway, I've counted down from that, you know, from that bit to there. So now that's E8. Now what we can actually do is, if we count down the locations, if there's any more F4s in the, you know, in the right locations, we could just go down to E8. So say for example right here, if I go to, you know, this is FM channel 1, that's tone. FM channel 2, that's FC, so it's a bit different. No, sorry, no, that's the channel, this is the tone. This is 00, so we have to count back. So if you start from 00, you go FF, you count backwards that way. And then you've got the next location, and then we've got another F4, so I can put E8 there. Another location, another F4, E8, another location, E8. And then we move on to the PSGs. Now it's not always the case, but just be aware when counting along that you're you know, you're editing things correctly. You know, don't just think, oh, F4, and then suddenly F4's over here, and then you're like, oh, but F4's there, so that's probably right. Make sure you're counting the bytes right, and you know, it's FM1 2 blocks, FM2 you know, 2 bytes, FM3, you know, etc. Make sure you're just counting it right. So anyway, this one's a little bit different. You know, this one was F4. This was FC, so again we count down from FC, so you go FB A 9876544321 0. I mean, I didn't even need to count that now I think about it, because like I said, it's OC bytes, so if we take OC from F, we get FO. So